Welcome back to the Gotham and Beyond podcast. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. We're not going to be talking about a power, we're not breaking down a rule, where we're actually reviewing an adventure module again. Yeah, I like looking at adventure modules. Some of them are interesting and some of them are, you know what I mean. One that does not get talked about much, but absolutely should, is the module Lines of Death. It's a first edition module with Green Arrow and Black Canary. And right away, this one tells you something important. It's not really a normal adventure. Now, the problem that I have with a lot of the DC hero modules over the years is that you get kind of shoehorned into playing the actual DC hero characters. Quite a bit of them were written just for the actual characters listed in the module, and it was very hard to incorporate like custom heroes, though a lot of them said that you could add custom heroes into your campaign module here, but overall it really didn't fit, or it was kind of weird sounding or whatever. I don't know. It's one of the reasons I didn't like the modules, but I like the modules. The modules are good for mining ideas. Also, if you want to play solo, they're actually some of them are pretty good to play solo because you could just play the character as a one off and be done with it. And, you have your solo adventure for the day. But what Lines of Death is trying to do is it's trying to build around a match play concept. There's like a core idea here of two characters, two parallel stories, one shared timeline, and eventually one final conclusion for the module that meets up. This is not a team adventure in the usual sense. It's a duet. It's Green Arrow and Black Canary, each getting their own path through this story module. Different scenes, different pressures, different information. The GM is not just running encounters. The GM is managing pacing mostly, cause and effect when it comes to this module. Now, this module kind of stands out because it's a little bit different. The structure and the flow of Lines of Death is split cleanly here. There's one track for Black Canary, there's one track for Green Arrow. Each track has a number encounters, each encounter has a step, player information, GM information, and consequences. But here's the trick. The encounters are not linear in isolation ways. They are tied to time blocks like morning, afternoon, evening, and night. What one hero does in the morning may change what the other hero does later in that day. If Canary talks to the police early, Green Arrow may find a door closed later on for that avenue. If Green Arrow escalates some type of violence, Canary may face tighter scrutiny later on. This module gives you flowcharts for both characters, and that's kind of rare, and it's also really necessary. You need them. This is not a module you can wing as a GM. Now, if you're on the fly GM or a GM that likes to improv or something and doesn't like sticking to a story or written scripts or anything, this module is definitely not going to be for you. And that's why this module is definitely not for me, because I'm that type of GM. I like to add improv and add things in and add a little more entertainment based off of characters. My GM style is more of a reactionary. I like to present things, see how the characters react, and react based on how they react. And I think that's a good idea for story flow when it comes to GMing a campaign. But if you do follow this campaign as written, as it is in place, as the story progresses, it's a one hell of a module that actually might work. The story is really grounded. There's no real cosmic threats here. There's no world-ending stakes. There's no capes crashing through skyscrapers or anything like that. This is crime, drugs, violence, street-level danger, people getting hurt, people die. Mistakes really have weight here. The villains are not colorful masterminds, they're just criminals, pushers, fixers, enforcers. They feel ugly and real. The danger is not about power level, it's about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that kind of fits the tone of a Green Arrow story, well, with Black Canary perfectly. So I said there were two sides of the story. So let's go over quickly the two sides of the story. I don't want to ruin it for those out there that really want to read this and check it out. But Black Canary's side is reactive and personal. She gets pulled into the situation through a street contact, a push gone wrong, a kid in trouble, a sense that something is spiraling out of control. Her encounters focus mostly on people, conversations, and moral pressure. A lot of her progress comes from detective work, interrogation, and empathy. If she rushes, things get worse. If she listens, the doors will open for her and the module will move forward. Her storyline rewards patience. It also punishes recklessness. This module is very clear about that when you're reading this as a GM. Now, the Green Arrow side, Green Arrow's track is more direct, more physical, and more tactical. So you make sure before you do this module and you have players, you have two players at the table, you kind of know what they like and what they do, and you should maybe talk to them. Like if you're find a player that's more, you know, talky and detective like and likes to, do things like that, maybe they should play Black Canary. If a character that wants to be more physical and tactical, then they should be Green Arrow. As a GM, you should probably know your players. If this is a brand new group, well, I don't know what to tell you. Just wing it. So Green Arrow is, like I said, more physical and more tactical. He deals with surveillance, ambushes, pursuit, and escalation. His encounters involve rooftops, warehouses, and confrontations that can turn violent fast. So, but even when they do turn violent, the module does not want you to solve everything with combat, even though a lot of it deals with that. Arrow is strongest when he plans, when he watches, when he chooses when to strike. If he goes out, if he goes loud or like violent too early, the criminal network does adapt to him. Evidence will disappear and targets will scatter. This is not accidental design, it's intentional pressure for that player to get things done. Now, the real strength of Lines of Death is how the two tracks kind of merge or converge into each other. At first, the heroes feel separate as they're doing things, running parallel cases, different suspects, different angles. Then the threads start to cross a little. Information Black Canary uncovers changes Arrow's final encounters. Choices Arrow makes raises the stakes in Canary's last scene. And by the time the final confrontation arrives, both players realize they were shaping the story from opposite ends. And then it works. It feels really earned. It feels fun. This is one of the few DC Hero modules that kind of earns its finale. I know the mechanics of this module from a rule standpoint is very conservative. And I'm not saying that is bad. That's more of a compliment. It relies heavily on detective work, persuasion, stealth, combat that resolves quickly and brutally. There's no like gimmick mechanics. There's no special subsystems like some modules do. The challenge comes from context, not complexity. This makes it easy to run under later editions with minimal adjustment. The math holds, situations hold. You just need to keep the tone and maybe a few numbers here or there, because if you're running first, it's obviously different than second or third. Now, the strengths of this module, and maybe you want to call it strengths, and it does a couple things really well. The pacing, the time blocks for forced momentum. Players cannot stall forever. Events move, so there's always going to be moving forward. Second, consequences. Actions ripple around the entire module. Nothing exists in its own vacuum. Third, the characters fit. This story feels like it belongs in a Green Arrow and Black Canary comic. You can adapt it, but it shines brightest with them. Fourth, and final thing, replay value. Because choices matter, no two runs play out the same way. So you could play this module with your players and then run it again and kind of put out of your mind you already ran it, and maybe they make different decisions. So, what this module's faults are, this is not a module for beginners. It demands prep. You must read ahead as a GM. You must track time. You must keep notes. If you lose threads, the experience really collapses. The module will not save you, doesn't have any room for breathing. It also assumes that players enjoy investigation, moral pressure. A group looking for a nonstop action may bounce off of this and not like it. I mean, it's just more of a warning label, but another thing that really is a big weakness about it is you can't really adapt this. Excuse me. For anything else out there. I mean, it's based on Green Arrow and Black Canary only. For you to run this with your own characters, you need to have two characters with a shared history. You need to have you need one to be more street level and investigative, one to be more direct and confrontational, and maybe match some. It's really hard to actually line this one up with like custom characters. So that's why a lot of these modules, their weaknesses is it's built just for. And I didn't really understand the fact of why DC, or I should say Mayfair, wrote these way this way. Like I understand that people like playing established heroes, but and this is a big but, as we found out, more people like to create their own superhero in the shared universe with established characters than actually play established characters. We found that out in Marvel Superheroes Phase Rip, as they first came out with the box set that was for playing just the established heroes. But as we know, they also came out with a whole section to create your own character, superheroes, in their books because people wanted to play in a shared universe with the established characters, create their own stories, and not just play the established heroes. Now, it's fun playing, an adventure one week with Batman, Superman, whatever, playing the Justice League for a couple of sessions, but then it's kind of like, I want to do my own thing. I want to be able to be in the universe saving the world alongside of Superman or Batman. And maybe they show up and like they pat you on the back and say good job. It's kind of one of those situations. Now, running this module, it's back to the module again. Nice little sidetrack there. If I ran Lines of Death right now, I would do a couple things. I'd emphasize the clock. Always remind players what time it is. Keep the NPCs grounded, no melodrama. Let the actual ugliness of this module and the NPC speak for itself. Lean into silence. I think that's a key here. Let the scenes breathe. Let the players sit with decisions and let them make them. Don't push. This module is best when you resist the urge to hurry. Let them take their time. Let them futz around a little bit. Remember the clock, the clock, the clock. That's always going to be there. So, Lines of Death is one of the most mature adventures, I want to say, that Mayfair has ever published for DC Heroes. Maybe. It it trusts that the GM and the players know how to handle real stakes without a spectacle. If you really want a street level story that feels dangerous without being flashy, this is probably worth your time. It's not loud, it's not really all that flashy, but it does stay with you. And honestly, this is the kind of adventure that we need to talk a little bit about more. So, I don't know. Maybe when we come back, I'll talk about some rules again. I do like looking at these modules since I've never actually used a lot of them, and reading them. Just I have a whole stack of them, so reading them is a lot of fun sometimes. I don't know. This will be the last podcast of the year, as we're reaching the Christmas holiday and New Year's celebration. So, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy New Year. I'll see you in 2026 with more Gotham and Beyond podcasts. Don't forget to go to our website, Gotham-database.com. Sorry, I couldn't think about it for a second. And there you can find us. Rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And don't forget to share and like and check out our YouTube channel as well. All the links are on our website. I'm going to head out. Keep it original, keep it old school. Good night, and God bless everybody.